Alright guys, here we are with Modern Warships Tutorial 102. Today we're going to be talking about ship types. We're going to start off by talking about CVs. Let's get into the game. Alright, for those that don't know, CVs are aircraft carriers. At Tier 2, you have the Nimitz, which is a decent boat. Then you have the Kuznetsov. Then you have the 075, which is probably your best offensive ship. Then you have the Shandong, your best defensive ship. The Cavour, which is another really good offensive ship. And the Queen Elizabeth. The Queen Elizabeth sucks. It has a drone, but the drone's not good. This boat all around is terrible, so don't get that. What you have to know about being a CV is your job is to scout. You need to scout the enemy so that your team can attack the enemy. Whoever scouts the other team first will have an advantage for winning because their team will get more damage done in. And, it's all about HP pools. And if you could take out their HP pool, meaning their combined HP, they lose. So you want to deal as much damage as you can as quickly as possible. To do that, you need to scout. One thing to note is a lot of new players will try to move their carriers into better positions. This is an advanced tactic, and you have to know what you're doing. Generally, what's going to happen when you're not used to carriers is you're going to control your very slow boat, try to get to your safe spot. In doing so, you're going to lose a few teammates because you've taken yourself out of the fight because you're controlling your carrier. And by the time you get there, you're at a disadvantage because you're outnumbered. And more times than not, the guy that hides his carrier is the last man standing, and he just dies and loses the game. So don't move your carrier until you are a good carrier player. Alright, now we're going to show you how to recall your planes. To do that, let's get into battle, and I will show you the recall button. Alright, here we are in battle. So generally, you'd recall your planes after you spent all your ordnance, after you shot all your missiles, or if they're damaged too much. So the recall button is in the top right. We will circle that now. That button there. So let's hit it. And as you see, our planes are turning back around, and they're going to head towards the carrier to resupply and heal up. That's how you recall your planes. Use that as you need it. It frees up your time to do whatever else you need it to do. Alright, let's move on to our next ship type. Submarines. At Tier 2, you have the Seawolf, the Barracuda, the Kursk, and the Type 636. If you noticed, I skipped one. That is this one, because it is a legendary boat. You could pretty much ignore it that it exists. You will probably never get it. You have to be a legendary player to do it, and to get legendary is damn near impossible. So let's stick with the realm of possibility. The two best accepted subs are the Kursk and the Seawolf. This Kursk has more health and will be able to take more damage. The Seawolf is faster and maneuverable. It will be able to dodge torpedoes and get into better positions. We will go over dodging torpedoes in another tutorial. Right now we're just talking about the basics of the subs. What you need to know about subs is you have an O2 meter. We'll get into battle and I'll show you this. But you have an O2 meter. If you let that run out, you will be forced to surface, and you will not be able to go back under the water until your meter is completely filled up. So never run out of O2. If you surface when you still have O2, you will have a very short cooldown and you could submerge again. So if you come up and people start firing missiles at you, you go right back down. So don't run out of O2. Big part of being a sub player is oxygen management. On that note, when you do surface, make sure you surface wisely. Unless you're trying to attack someone, or it's intentional that you put yourself in harm's way, Typically, you only want to surface by cover or in a safe spot. Next, we're going to talk about diving at the beginning of the game. As soon as the game starts, you need to dive instantly. First button you hit. This is because the enemy team is going to scout, if they're good, that is. And if they're going to scout, they're going to use planes. If a plane sees you when you're at the surface, you are detected. If you're underwater when the plane gets there, you will still be stealthy. They won't see you. If they send a helicopter, they'll see you, but not with a plane. So getting under right away will increase your chances of maintaining stealth, getting better position, and being able to mess up the team. Another thing to know is subs don't have a periscope, but there is a button to track missiles. This I will show you in the game here shortly. But you hit the button, it will track your missile. Then you could shoot your underwater missiles, which at tier 2 is the Tomahawk. You could shoot that well underwater. Your camera will go above water and follow your missile, allowing you to see what the surface looks like. Let's get into battle and I will demonstrate. Here we are at the beginning of the battle. First thing we did is submerge. I guess we should show you at least how to do that. This button here surfaces and submerges the submarine. Right now if I hit it again, it will bring me back up. So right next to that button is your O2 meter. It's full now, and it will go down as I run out of oxygen. So the next thing to note is the button I was telling you about that tracks your missiles. Button is in the top right. That one right there. So let's hit it, and you'll see it lights up. Now when I shoot my missiles, it will follow it, so I can see my surroundings to make sure I'm on a good path and not going to run into anything. So that's pretty much the basics of subs. Alright, let's go on to our next ship type. So the next ship type is surface boats. Anything that is not a carrier and is not a sub. It consists of multiple types of ships: destroyers, frigates, cruisers, but we call them surface boats because there's no distinguishing thing that you could say, oh, destroyers do this, cruisers do that. They all do the same things. Essentially, it's all about equipment. And which brings us on to the next topic is know your ship's role based on the equipment it has. So right here I'm going to show you the 3 best ships. Well, mostly the 3 best ships. Surface boats, that is. You have the pizza boat here, the IT Kelio Dulio, and it has 1 missile, 3 cannons, a torpedo, 2 autocannons, and a helicopter. Notice it has no AA, but it has 3 cannons. This is the only ship in the game currently that has 3 cannons. So it is a very deadly ship with its guns, but it has no AA. So typically you're not going to push up on this ship because it can't defend itself against missiles except for the flares. It also can't defend itself against carriers except by killing the ship before the ship kills it. So the role of this thing is heavy damage. It can't talk. It can't take much damage. I mean, it has a decent amount of health, but it just has no AA, so there's no damage mitigation. Next, we're going to talk about the Caroma. This has 2 cannons, 1 grenade launcher, 2 torpedoes, and 3 AA, and a helicopter. This boat, as you notice, has no missiles, but it is the only boat at tier 2 that has 2 torpedoes. This is an anti-submarine warship, ASW boat. It's good against all boats, but it specializes at taking out subs. It's because it has the 2 torpedoes and the grenade launchers. Grenade launchers can shoot subs underwater. It can also shoot torpedoes. There is one exception to this, and we'll go over that. We'll go over that one when we talk about equipment in another video. So look at the equipment. You can see that this is ASW. It has cannons. It can attack. It's good at taking out other ships, but its main job is submarines. Let's go over to the Admiral Pant. This thing has 1 missile, 2 cannons, 2 grenade launchers, 1 torpedo, 8 AA, and a helicopter. This is a great all-around boat. Doesn't excel at anything. Doesn't have 3 cannons like the pizza boat. It doesn't have 2 torpedoes like the Caroma, but it has 1 of everything. So it's a good all-around boat, one I'd highly recommend. All right, now let's talk about boats of note. You have the X-Wind, and you have the Loon. These are both very fun boats. I recommend them for a good time, but they will not help you prepare you for Tier 3. Tier 3 is already pretty different from Tier 2, but there's nothing like these boats at Tier 3. These are very fast boats, and they're very fun, but there's nothing like that at Tier 3, so you should get them if you want to have fun with them, but don't expect them to help you out preparing for Tier 3. So something to notice or to know about surface boats is you have, well, obviously most of them have AA. If you're in a boat by yourself, let's just say this boat, for example, it has 4 AA. If you're by yourself, you only have 4 AA to defend you. But if you went next to another boat just like this, another Admiral Pant, now there is 8 AA defending the area. So overlapping AA is beneficial. On that note, carriers generally have a lot of AA, especially the Shandong. If you got next to a Shandong, you have a boat ton of AA to defend against you. AA won't defend against torpedoes, it won't defend against cannons, but it will defend against aircraft and missiles. So it's better to be by teammates than being away from them, more times than not. And that concludes our video about the ship types. Hope you guys learned something, and I will see you for the next tutorial video.